Alright, so Apple's Wonderlist event has just happened and the iPhone 15 lineup has been launched. So here is the hands-on review of the 15 lineup. So, first things first, let's talk about design. This phone definitely inherits the same looks and general design as the last year again. But you know what's at least partially new? Is actually the way it feels in the hand. They have done a good job softening the corners here. So it still looks boxy, still has aluminum rails, but it's more comfortable to hold since these corners aren't sharp as the 14 series. They are a bit rounded off. And then, this is also the first glass backed non-pro iPhone with a satin back. And this new satin finish back feels like velvet. This is like a nice soft touch frosted glass back here. I know there is a super complicated process to get this single piece of glass on the back to be two different colors and two different thicknesses and all that, and I can totally respect it. But honestly, the colors are super weak. Just like every year, this year also they have launched 4 models. Those are being iPhone 15, iPhone 15 Plus, iPhone 15 Pro and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. But around the front, new screen. Well, not new again, but new to this iPhone. Yeah, new screen. You now get the dynamic island on the non-pro iPhones, which is pretty much doing the whole punch cutout the Apple way. So the notch is finally dead. Until maybe a new iPhone SE brings it back. It could happen. But this iPhone 15 gets last year's A16 Bionic from the 14 Pro. Honestly, the renaming of the Pro chip might be the most interesting part because it implies that it's definitely not going to trickle down to the baseline phone next year. And it just strikes me as a tool just to sort of continue widening the gap as much as they can between the Pro iPhones and the non-Pro iPhones, and they're happy to do it, even if it makes the iPhone 15 the most expensive phone in the world with a 60Hz display. And the 15 Plus looks to have the best battery life ever on any iPhone, which is really promising. So the combination of the A16 Bionic, which is not new, and the 60Hz screens, which are also not new, are giving you great battery life. And it feels more like that Apple has just took the internals from 14 Pros and have put in them into the 15s. And the Lightning has been officially dead. Yeah, Type-C in the 15 lineup. USB-C, here it is, alongside all the benefits that come with it. Okay, we all know that they were basically forced into doing this by the EU. So shout out to the EU for that. And they managed to do it in the Apple way too. They color matched the inside of the USB-C port with the color of the phone. So you know how most smartphones, a lot of them today have 48 megapixel cameras and they all been down to 12 megapixels. Yeah, they give you 12 megapixel shots. You know, the previous iPhones did this, but this new one, for those who might have missed it, is actually by default spitting out 24 megapixel images instead of 12. And it's only about 1.5 times of the file size, which is dope. And here is the review of iPhone 15 Pro. This is iPhone 15 Pro. Not a lot of changes this time. So basically Apple has changed 3 things in this whole lineup. Those are being the cameras, the chip inside, and the build quality. So the base iPhone 15s got the last year's A16 Bionic from the 14 Pro, and so here is this new more powerful chip in the highest end phones. And it's not the A17 Bionic. This is the first one with the Pro name. It's the A17 Pro. And this thing goes crazy on paper. It's literally approaching M1 chip levels of synthetic benchmark scores, and compared to last year, it's 10 to 20% more powerful on both CPU and the GPU, which is very respectable. So I don't know if you saw it, but Apple has officially now addressed the heat and battery issues that some people have been reporting with these iPhones. So an iOS update is coming, and it seems like some specific third-party apps like Instagram were also having issues, and those should be getting updates too. And it sounds pretty dramatic. Apple is talking about the strongness just because they have used titanium instead of stainless steel. It's not the stainless steel that breaks, it's the glass that breaks. And most phones do not break. iPhones especially do not break, like ever. Oops. And that snap was abnormally quick. Kind of stunned. I'm not sure if it's because the grade 5 titanium frame has nearly 3 times more tensile strength than aluminum or half the elasticity, but the glass did not like being pressed or flexed by the thumb. Now instead of a completely flat glass at the front, there is this gentle little curve at the very edges. And then the screen sizes are exactly the same, but now the bezels are actually a tiny bit slimmer all the way around. So technically the phone is like 1 mm smaller diagonally. This phone is actually noticeably lighter than the previous Pro. It's 10% on paper, but it feels like more than 10%. Honestly, the most pro things about these new phones though is definitely their video cameras. So I'm just gonna nerd about these for a second because the iPhone's video capabilities, I talk about this so much, but they're still so clearly far out in front of the rest of the smartphone world. It doesn't even shoot 8K, which is totally capable of with a 48 megapixels. I wish they would let us, but even just at 4K 30 in full auto, the detail, the autofocus, the slight depth, the dynamic range, the stabilization, they're all world class. So the one thing that I'm gonna say to you, because I'm pixel peeping at this point, is the hailing of light from point sources. I know it's one of the hardest challenges with these tiny optics, so I get it why they haven't just fixed it yet. But like it's pretty bad. Anytime there is sort of point lights, especially with video, despite whatever new lens or coating they are doing, it's pretty dramatic and it seems like it's the worst on iPhone than any other phone. So it's there, gonna point it out again. But hey, if that's the biggest downside of the iPhone video, I will definitely take it. Now let's talk about this new action button. I think it's not super reachable, like it's not a one-handable button where your fingers rest usually for everyone. Especially on the Pro Max, it's way up there on the corner above the volume buttons. It could be a cool shutter button for the camera, but the volume buttons already do that. So yeah, I feel like you might as well just end up setting it back to mute stage and forgetting about it after a few weeks. But I guess that's fine too. And just like every other year, this year too, Apple has done nothing in terms of innovation. There is no folding in half, there is no some curving of screen or something, or literally nothing special in this lineup too. I mean, just look at the phones from the last 3 years. They all look more or less physically the same, unlike the last decade's iPhones with innovative designs. But that's a rant for another video. Let me know what do you guys think of iPhone 15 lineup. Comment sections are always open. All this happening within the Apple in such a big tech giant with no innovations seems pretty impractical. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment sections below. Either way, that's been it. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.